Hi, it's Gnage Virtual Science coming to you again from my driveway. And so today's lesson is all on the rock cycle. So how one rock can change into another rock. And if I could juggle, I would do a cycle of rocks. So the rock cycle involves a couple of different processes that's going to help the rock change to a different type. So we're going to be talking about uplift. We're going to be talking about subduction. We're going to be talking about melting and cooling. We're going to be talking about weathering. And we're going to be talking about erosion and deposition. So real quick, we are going to begin with the term uplift. And so I'm going to share with you a picture of uplift here. If I can find it on my computer. There we go. So this is uplift, and uplift is just that, rock going up. So if you have rock that is in Earth's crust, or you have rock that is buried, any sort of plate tectonic action, any sort of movement, earthquakes that brings that rock up to the surface, that is known as uplift. So mountain formation is going to bring that rock, look at that, ooh, up, right? So that is going to be uplift. All right, so next we're going to talk about subduction. And subduction, if you recall, here we go, is part of the plate tectonic motion as well. It's when you get one piece of Earth's crust and another piece of Earth's crust, and one goes down under. And so that's the sub. And so if you have rock that is a part of this crust, it's going to go under and get buried down deep within Earth's crust. So that's a way that rocks can move from one place to another through subduction. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about, melting and cooling. And so melting and cooling is just that. When you get rocks and they melt into magma or lava because of the heat, and then it cools and solidifies into a rock. So that would be our term melting and cooling. And next, we're going to talk about weathering. Weathering is the process that breaks down rocks and sediment into smaller pieces. So again, weathering, breaking down rocks, these big ones over here, into smaller pieces, into pebbles, into sand, into grains. And most of the time it happens through water and wind, okay? So that would be weathering and erosion. Lastly, erosion and deposition. Once you break down that rock through weathering, it can move to another spot and mix again with other grains, with other sediment, and then get deposited, left there. And through compaction, through pressure, it can compact into another rock. So those are the terms that can change one rock to another. So what I'm going to do for us right now is I'm going to pull up a picture of the rock cycle, and I'm going to guide you through some of the ways that rocks, an igneous rock, can change into a sedimentary rock, or a metamorphic rock can change into a igneous rock. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you. Share. Okay, so here is the rock cycle. Let's go ahead and start with an igneous rock. Let's say we start with this piece of scoria here. If you follow the arrow, and I lost my mouse on my screen, but if you start with igneous rock and you follow the arrow towards sediments, well, what process is going to take this igneous rock and take it and turn it into sediment? Weathering. It's going to break it down. So if this is on the beach and water keeps crashing into it, or wind keeps rubbing against it and it gets abraded like sandpaper just hitting it, it's going to break it down into smaller pieces. Okay, you're then going to have all these tiny little pieces of sediment of rock. Well, then erosion water can move it to somewhere else, another location, and it can get cemented and compacted together into a sedimentary rock. So we just took an igneous rock, okay? We broke it down and we weathered it into sediments and we compacted it into a sedimentary rock. That's the rock cycle, okay? We can then take that sedimentary rock and through subduction, through plate tectonic action, get it down deep within Earth's crust, and under extreme heat and pressure, that sedimentary rock is then going to turn into a metamorphic rock. Okay, so we are following just these arrows going along through all those different processes I mentioned to you on how they can turn into different rocks. If you have a, let's see, that metamorphic rock that I had, if it's under enough heat, okay, for a long period of time, it can melt back into magma. And then you get a magma chamber and it's molten rock. And then over time, that molten magma is going to cool and it's going to then turn back into a, let's see, right? Back into an igneous rock. And so that's, again, another way that rocks can move through this rock cycle. Remember, a cycle is continuous. It's continuous. So all these different rocks are continually changing, getting weathered and broken down into sediment, getting compacted and cemented together, getting buried through subduction and getting melted and cooled into an igneous rock. And then uplift, the process of mountain building or the process of making a volcano is going to uplift those rocks to Earth's surface where they can be weathered again. So let's see here. That is the rock cycle, pretty much in a nutshell. Now, this is me in a nutshell. Oh, look at me, I'm in a nut. I don't know, I'm crazy. So one other thing that you can do to learn about the rock cycle is look at the other resources that I posted for you under today's lesson in rock cycle. I gave you access to the brain pop video for rock cycle. Be sure to open up the file, the picture of the rock cycle that I provided for you. It might be good to print it and just guide your finger along and talk to yourself, how is this one rock going to another, and what are the processes? Remember, those processes are weathering. A rock can be broken down into smaller pieces and then eroded, carried somewhere else, and then deposited, and through some pressure it can get compacted into a sedimentary rock. Those other processes are rocks can get uplifted. If rocks are buried down below Earth's surface, they can get uplifted through the processes of plate tectonics. Plate tectonics can also cause subduction. If a rock is on Earth's surface, they can get buried back down into Earth's surface through subduction. Again, enough heat will melt a rock and then cool it, turning it back into an igneous rock. So I hope you enjoyed today's lesson on the rock cycle, and we will have some more fun as the week goes on.